Hello, fifth graders, and happy Wednesday. Today our lesson is a little shorter, so we just have time for a quick do now and then an IXL challenge. Let's dive right in. I know you're going to do a good job, and so does Mr. Smiles. Let's start with our do now. A pool has two sections. It has a total volume of 150 cubic feet. The first section has a volume of 85 cubic feet. What is the volume of the second section? So I know the total is 150, and I know one section is 85. How could I find the volume of the second section? I could subtract 150 minus 85. Do that now. What's the volume of the second section? Well, 10 minus 5 is 5, and 14 minus 8 is 6. The answer is 65 cubic feet. Now you try 1B. Another pool has two sections. It has a total volume of 240 cubic feet. The volume of the first section is 118 feet. What is the volume of the second section? Well, I need to subtract to find the volume of the second section. 240 minus 118. I know the total and one of the parts. When I do that, 10 minus 8 is 2, 3 minus 1 is 2, and 2 minus 1 is 1. The answer is 122 cubic feet. We talked yesterday about multiplying and dividing by powers of 10. When I multiply 56 and 82 hundredths times 100, will the decimal move right or left? It will move to the right because place value is increasing. How many times will it move? It will move twice, so I can move the decimal once, twice. The answer is 5,682. When I divide by 10, will the decimal move left or right? It'll move left because place value will decrease. How many times will it move? It will move once because 10 is 10 to the first power. So I'm going to move it once. The correct answer is 5 and 682 thousandths. Now you try one. What's 832 and 5/10 times 100? Well, I would move the decimal once, twice. The answer is 83,250. What's 832 and 5/10 divided by 100? Well, I would move the decimal twice to the left, once, twice. The answer is 8 and 325 thousandths. We've also talked about multiplying by decimals. Let's look at an example. 52 hundredths times 1 3/10. Remember, I don't need to line decimals up when they multiply. First, I'm going to count how many digits are behind the decimal. 1, 2, 3. There are 3 digits behind the decimal. Now I can multiply 52 times 13. What's 3 times 2? It's 6. What's 3 times 5? It's 15. I can drop my 0. What's 1 times 2? It's 2. What's 1 times 5? It's 5. And now I can add. 6 plus 0 is 6, 5 plus 2 is 7, and 5 plus 1 is 6. I need to place 3 numbers behind the decimal point. So what would my final answer be? It would be 0 and 676 thousandths. Now you try one. What's 45 hundredths times 2 and 5/10? The answer is 11 and 25 hundredths. Sometimes we'll need to add and subtract fractions at the same time. I can see I have 2/5 plus 1/4 minus 3/10. First, I can't add or subtract these fractions because they don't have the same denominator. I need to list my 5s, my 4s, and my 10s to find the least common denominator of all three. Go ahead and do that now. List your 5s, 4s, and 10s and find the smallest number on all three lists. It's 20. Now I can change all of my fractions so that the denominator is 20. When I change 2/5 so that the denominator is 20, what's the numerator? Well, 5 times 4 is 20. 2 times 4 is 8. When I change 1/4 so that the denominator is 20, what's the new numerator? Well, 4 times 5 is 20. 1 times 5 is 5. When I change 3/10 so that the denominator is 20, what's the new numerator? Well, 3 times 2 is 20. 10 times 2 is 20. 3 times 2 is 6. So now I can follow the order of operations. I'm going to add 8 over 20 plus 5 over 20, and then subtract 6 over 20. What's 8 twentieths plus 5 twentieths? It's 13 twentieths. What's 13 twentieths minus 6 twentieths? It's 7 twentieths. So the correct answer is 7 over 20. Now you try one. What's 2/3 plus 2/9 minus 1/6? Go ahead and solve that problem now. The correct answer is 13/18. Let's look at number 5. What is the sum of 8/10 and 25/100? What operation do I need to use? I need to add. Sum is the answer to an addition problem. When I add decimals, I need to line them up. So I have 8/10 plus 25/100. I can put a 0 behind the 8. Go ahead and solve that addition problem now. What's the answer? Well, 5 plus 0 is 5. 2 plus 8 is 10, and I bring the decimal straight down. The answer is 1 5/100. Now you try another problem. What is the sum of 7/10 and 58/100? Let's see how you did. When I add 7/10 and 58/100, I get 1 28/100. We also talked about multiplicative comparison when using fraction multiplication. Remember, when I multiply by a fraction, the product gets smaller. So let's look and see which statement is true. The product of 3 and 1/2 is greater than 3, less than 3, or equal to 3. 1/2 is less than 1, so when I multiply by it, the product will be less. The correct answer is B. Anytime I multiply by a fraction, my product gets smaller. Now you try one. Which statement is true? 3/4 is also less than 1, so the correct answer is B. We also talked about plotting ordered pairs. Remember, we go over first, that's our x-coordinate, and then we go up second, that's our y-coordinate. What are the ordered pairs of the points in number 1? Check your work with mine. What are the ordered pairs for the points in number 2? Check your work with mine. What are the ordered pairs for the points in number 3? Check your work with mine. What are the ordered pairs for the points in number 4? Check your work with mine. You've done a great job on this video. Do now. Now there are several skills to practice. Go to the page with the IXL skills and get as many SMART scores of 90 as you can.